Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This video is also an explanation of the Steinitz Gambit. Basically the concept of it. Um, Steinitz bet Zukertort in an instructive game in 1886, but this game was played much before that in 1870. You can find the link to that video in the description. So Steinitz Gambit starts after the moves e4, e5, knight c3, knight c6, f4, ef4, df4, d4, queen h4, king e2. One of the greatest openings since bringing the king out in the open. Steinitz believed that the king could take care of itself, and yeah, it cannot be attacked easily. As you will see in the game, his theory could be proved partly true. And the concept here is that black also loses a number of moves by bringing out his queen. And in the end, which is more expensive is the question. In the game, you will see that Steinitz strategy triumphed and he won. So d6, knight f3. So first tempo that we get, attacking the queen. Bishop g4, bishop f4. And after long castle, Steinitz plays the incredible king e3. I'm sure he enjoyed playing these moves, and yeah, he believes that the king is safe here and cannot be attacked. Paulsen makes his second queen move, queen h5. Steinitz continues developing bishop e2. This was an important part of his strategy, just to put the king in center, but develop the pieces around it, and he never ignored development. And his opponents did not have enough sense of initiative probably to exploit it. Only Chigorin managed to win here. So bishop e2. So Paulsen continues with his queen moves, queen a5. You can see that this is going to be expensive. White played a3, just keeping b4 under control, and there are some ideas. If white plays queen b6 and queen into b2, knight a4 usually traps the queen. It's just a useful move in general. Bishop f3. So yeah, Paulsen's idea is this, and if bishop f3, he wants to create counterplay with g5 and bishop g7 against the d4 pawn. But Steinitz is too smart for that. He takes with the king, and after g5, you would just go bishop e3 here, so it doesn't make sense. So queen h5 check. This is his fourth queen move, as you can see, and he's ignoring the development of all his other pieces in trying to exploit white for his opening mistake. King e3, bold enough. The king is beautifully placed there. Queen h4. And now Steinitz plays a very instructive move. Try to see if you can find it. b4, very very deep move, seeing in advance what the opponent wants. Because after g5, bishop g3, queen h6, black's aim is to pressure this. Aim and prospect of counterplay is pressurizing this d4 pawn. And he stops that first. b5, knight e7. And now again he makes a very instructive move. Rook f1, preparing to artificially castle. And after knight f6, king f2, knight g6, king g1. My king is safe and sound. Just as in the Zukertort game, if you look at the position suddenly, it doesn't really look like the white king is weak, but black pieces lack harmony, and you can see there are some undeveloped pieces, and it's not clear what the queen is doing on h6 and how one piece is cooperating with the other piece. So black played queen g7. I don't know how many queen moves he has made so far, but it's a lot. So probably the 7th queen move, and that's a lot. Meanwhile, white has been developing his pieces. So Steinitz continues his attack with queen d2, h6, a4. Queen d2 is to discourage h5, and he managed to do that. Yeah, rook g8. Now Steinitz comes up with an incredible series of moves. Probably even a great combination. And as the advantage is big enough, Steinitz had a theory that only when the advantage is big enough, you should look for a combination. And that's what he does here. He believes that the advantage is big enough. And he plays the incredible b6. The aim of b6 is to open lines on the queen side, and after a b6, rook f6, queen f6, bishop g4, king b8, knight d5. So every move contains a threat and every move is forced since b6. So the pieces are coming up in front very much in a tempo, and yeah, it's too fast for the opponent to handle. Queen g7, nothing much to do here. a5. So the most tempting move b5 does not save black because of a6, b6, a7, king b7, and now yeah, this expected but strong knight into c7. King into c7, queen c3, king b7. There are many moves that win here. Even bishop c8 wins, but bishop d7 is beautiful enough to end the game. So black did not play b5. Black played f5, kind of a desperation, but already the game is out of his control. A b6. Again, you can see that continuously Steinitz ignores the threat of black. He had a great sense of initiative, and one of his famous quotes is, "The player with the advantage must attack or he runs the risk of losing it." So here white is duty bound to attack, and that's what he does. So knight b6, still ignoring the bishop, and it's all white pieces, sorry, all black pieces are piled up on the wrong side of the board, leaving his queen deserted. Sorry, leaving the king deserted. F into g4 leads to its own mate. King c7, queen c3, king b6, queen a5, king c6, d5, king d7, and queen d8 is mate. So black went knight e7, but it was already over. E into f5, just continuing naturally. Queen f7, just c f6, knight c6, and c4. Building up the attack naturally. Queen into f6 is not possible because of rook a8 and knight d5 mate. And that is basically white's threat now. Rook a8 and knight d5, winning the game. So knight a7 doesn't really say much. Queen a2. It was good enough to resign here, but Paulsen plays on knight d5, threatening queen a8 mate. Yeah, queen into d5. It was wise enough to resign. C d5, knight d4, queen a7, king c7, and its mate. Knight c6, rook c6. As you can see, the Zukertort game and this game continued the same trend, where white is tempting black to bring out his queen and wins a number of tempos with it. And yeah, so that's the strategy, double-edged strategy. But probably Chigoran showed the way, and yeah, maybe of course black cannot be worse or anything like that, but it's a contest of ideas, and most of the times Steinitz showed that his ideas work. Thank you for watching.